The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride begins almost like a mirror image of the first installment. A solemn sunrise, a sacred rock, priest's mandrels, and a newborn cub raised above the savannah. The viewer does not doubt for a second. Before us is the daughter of Simba and Nala. We are assured of this from the first seconds. But only by digging a little deeper will this confidence begin to melt away. We do not hear the name Kiara right away. The first scene is pure symbolism. Neither Simba nor Nala say anything. We don't hear anyone say the baby's name. We just see a replay of an iconic scene from the first installment. It's designed for emotion. Look, it's all coming full circle, a new life, a new heiress. But unlike the first movie where Rafiki breaks a coconut, performs a ritual, touches Simba's forehead, and rubs paint. This happens almost automatically here, as if it were a performance. Close the curtain as soon as possible, as if it must be. This strange feeling is reinforced when comparing the two movies' birth scenes. Simba's birth in the original The Lion King is a moment of power. It's filled with anticipation, ritual, and weight. Kiara's birth is like a stand-in replica. Minimal emotion, minimal dialogue, minimal meaning, and if you think about it, Simba has his first child. It's no less an event than his own accession to the throne. Why is it so superficial? Why don't we see joy, fear, anxiety? Where is any interaction between Simba and the cub? Now, one subtle but important nuance. Kiara doesn't have a single scene of infancy after that first minute. No nighttime parental worries, no talk of the future, no look how much she looks like you moment. Immediately, there's a time jump. Kiara is all grown up now, running around and arguing with her father. Everything between birth and childhood is cut out, and that's precisely the correct period to show Simba accepting fatherhood. Or vice versa, how he's tormented by fears and doubts. But his reaction to the birth of his daughter is frighteningly neutral, as if he doesn't want to talk about it. An interesting moment at the movie's beginning. Rafiki utters the phrase, "It is time." These are the exact words used in the first movie. But now they sound different. Not as a call to action, but a kind of compulsion. It is as if he's not rejoicing, but simply saying, "It's time. It's time. I must." And that's where the first serious assumption comes in. What if Kiara isn't who they say she is? Let's say for a second that Simba and Nala's real daughter died in childbirth, and the one we see on the rock is someone else's baby, probably a foundling. Maybe the daughter of one of the lionesses of pride. Perhaps not even the daughter of a lion. This means that the whole ritual and presentation in front of the savannah is not about the new heiress, but about silencing the tragedy, about the need to preserve the image. Everything falls into place. Simba's awkwardness, Nala's silence, and the ritualization of the scene. Those who rule cannot afford weakness, especially Simba, who has gone through exile, the loss of his father, and an internal struggle. He realizes that if everyone finds out that the heir is dead, there will be panic. Maybe even the collapse of the pride. And then he takes the desperate step of replacing his daughter. It is worth remembering one almost imperceptible detail. We never once hear Simba call Kiara daughter in the emotional sense. He always speaks of her as a heiress, as a future leader. His voice is not warm but controlled, not love but anxiety. It's as if he doesn't fully believe in what he's doing. It's as if he's afraid to get close because he knows the truth. Suppose we accept the hypothesis that Simba's real daughter died in childbirth, and Kiara is a substitute. In that case, the first thing to examine is the main character's behavior. Let's start with Simba. At first glance, he seems like a caring father. He guards Kiara, worries, and makes the rules. But on closer inspection, it's not caring, it's manic control. Simba doesn't just protect his daughter from danger. He doesn't let her breathe or let her leave the territory, and he plants watchers. He doesn't trust her or the people around her. He does this not because Kiara is weak, but because he fears exposure. What's the point of guarding his daughter from the outside world like this if it's just a parent's anxiety? In part 1, Mufasa taught Simba to accept his destiny, showed him his limits, and explained why he needed bravery. Simba is the opposite. He isolates, pressures, and builds a cage around Kiara. That's not defense, that's paranoia. You could say, well, he's just afraid for her because he lost his father. But then, why isn't he building trust? Why doesn't he explain? Why does he take her on a tour of the grounds once, and even then turn it into a lecture on power? Where is the human attitude? If you think back to the scene where Kiara comes home after running to Kovu, Simba doesn't even hug her. He doesn't rejoice that she's alive. He just stares sternly and with concern. His focus is always on Kiara, not on what she... It's as if he's not afraid of losing his daughter, but frightened she'll learn too much. Now there's Nala, an image that is often ignored. In Simba's Pride, she's almost always in the background, yet she's always there for Simba, and she doesn't confront him every time he goes overboard with control. She reminds him of his responsibility, saying, You have to trust her. But she does it like she doesn't fully believe it. It's like she's repeating a mantra she's been saying for years, as if she has to say it. If Kiara were her daughter, losing contact with her child would be drama, struggle, and conflict. But Nala is reserved. Almost cold. There's not a single scene where she comforts Kiara, where she shares something personal with her. She's like Simba's shadow, an accomplice, or witness to the tragedy. And here is a logical fork. If Simba decided to replace his dead daughter, could he do it without Nala's knowledge? It's unlikely, which means they did it together. Then, their entire marriage is a facade on the outside. They no longer have intimacy because they have a terrible secret. Now for the most controversial but essential figure, Kiara. Looking closely at her character, I see she is nothing like Simba or Nala. She has no inner strength like her mother. She doesn't have her father's natural charisma. She's sweet, naive, and energetic, but entirely foreign to Pride Rock. She doesn't understand why she's being held back, doesn't feel connected to her roots, and this sounds harsh, doesn't fit in. Yes, some might say it's teenage rebellion, but compare her to Simba in Part 1. There, it's hubris, risk-taking, a desperate attempt to prove her. Here, it's confusion. Kiara's not trying to prove she's worthy of being queen. She doesn't want to be one at all. And it's not, the character is different. It's a sense of foreignness. It's as if she always knew she didn't belong here. The movie hints at this in a scene where Kiara says, "You look at me and you see a future queen, but that's not me." It's more than a teenage protest. It's a cry of essence. Kiara feels like she's being imposed on a role she has no part in, and Simba, instead of listening, pushes her further away. Special attention is paid to Kiara's appearance. She is noticeably different from her parents. Her coloring is lighter, her facial features are softer, and her eyes do not have the shade of Simba's or Nala's eye. Of course, this is not always an argument in animation. Still, it is worth remembering that in The Lion King, symbolism works even in colors. Simba and Mufasa are shades of gold, a symbol of royalty. Kiara is almost pinkish beige. It's as if she has a different lineage, a different bloodline. Who could her real mother have been? Perhaps one of the lionesses of the Pride. Possibly one whose fate is unknown. There were dozens of nameless lionesses in the Pride. And if one of them gave birth on the same day as Nala, if she had no status, if the cub was healthy and the queen's daughter was dead, the choice was obvious. The sacrifice of one life to preserve the throne, for the illusion of order? Simba and Nala knew the people would not survive the news that the heir was dead. After the tragedies of Scar and the exile, Pride clung to Simba's honesty. And he couldn't afford another loss. So it's a trade, no words, no witnesses, just them, Rafiki, and a secret now guarded for years. If Kiara is not Simba's own daughter, then the question becomes, why does he keep insisting that she become queen? Why does he invest so much effort not in love, not in trust, but specifically in position? The answer may surprise you. Kiara is not a person, or rather not a lion, but a symbol, a tool, a trump card. After Scar's death, the Pride was on the brink of civil war. Lioness scouts, exiles, children of the old guard, all watching Simba. Many of them are not on his side. One of these is Zira, a former Scar associate who is now the head of the exiles. Zira is raising Kovu, not Scar's son, as is commonly believed, but just a young lion she wants to turn into the new king. She is fanatically dedicated to regaining power through force. She is the direct antithesis of Simba, and that's where Kiara comes in. Simba needs Kiara to end the war without bloodshed. He cannot defeat Zira by force. He would lose pride, his morals, and his trust. He can't give in, so Scar wins even in death. What's left? Turn the conflict from physical to political. Bind Kiara to Kovu, but there's a problem. Kiara isn't his daughter. Technically, yes, but genetically, no. She doesn't carry his lineage. She can't be a full-fledged queen if the truth comes out. He needs a double cover. Kiara must believe she's the heir. The others must not ask questions. Simba is literally building his power on lies. Lies that he himself maintains every day, and it's getting harder every day. Recall the scene where Kiara says, "My pack is them too." She feels the truth, even if she can't she feels it. She doesn't belong to either side, because she is from outside. She is a connection, not because she was born with a title, but because she has never truly belonged here. And that's why she has the power to stop the war. Her soul is a blank page on which a new treaty can be. Kovu and Kiara is not a love story, but a political alliance between two lonelinesses and outsiders. Kovu is not accepted in his pack. He is too soft for Kiara. Kiara is not received in herself. She is too different from Simba. Their union is not despite, but because of their initial isolation. Now for the final twist. Kiara dies. Simba is left with the fact that peace has been achieved. Kiara is with Kovu, and the threat has been eliminated. And here, perhaps only within himself, he can admit for the first time, I am not her father by blood, but maybe I became one by fate. This is not redemption, it's a tragedy. Kiara will never know the truth. She'll live with the feeling of being left out all her life, and Simba will live with the idea that he used someone else's life to save his power. Rafiki, the only one who probably knows everything from the beginning, utters, "It is time" at the end. The same one he used at the beginning, closing the circle. But now it signifies not a ritual, but the end of the game. Time to let go. Time to let live. Not the heiress, but the person. We won't know for sure who Kiara was, but there are enough traces. The parents' behavior, the oddities of the birth scene, the discrepancies in traits, and the emotional alienation all form a frighteningly slender version of events. Not because you want to believe in a conspiracy, but sometimes, the most logical explanation is hidden in the most inconvenient truth. Kiara is not just a lioness. She symbolizes how tragedy can be hidden under a mask of order, and how even someone else's fate can change the world if you accept it as your own. Write your thoughts in the comments, and feel free to write your own theories on the subject. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the following videos about the cartoon The Lion King. Have a good day, everyone, and see you soon.